Alaska and Anchorage specifically is a great place to live, but as with any location, there are going to be some things where for some people it's just not going to be a great fit for them. I've known a number of people where they were up here for just decades and decades and decades, loved it the entire time. And I've known people where they were up here for about a year or a couple of years and decided it was just time to move on. So it's going to be not always a perfect fit for everybody that comes up here. And a big part of deciding to move here is just making sure that you are cut out and ready for living in Alaska, and it's going to be a good fit for you right off the get-go. So how do you know that? What things do you need to know where if Alaska is or may not be a good fit for you? That's going to be the topic of today's video. Before we get started, make sure that you give this video a like, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and make sure that you hit the little bell as well so that you can receive regular videos like this as well that's going to keep you informed about Alaska. So if the following are just complete deal breakers for you, then you shouldn't move up here. Number one, if being separate from the continental United States is going to be overwhelming for you and you just don't think you can adjust to that, then you need to seriously take a second look at moving to Alaska and kind of reconsider. Because the only way to get here, well, only 3 ways to get here, is going to be driving up the Alcan Highway, which is going to be going up through Canada. You can take the ferry system or you can fly. There is no scenario like if you're in Colorado to where you can just drive a couple hours and get to another state and conveniently get there. It requires a lot more logistics and planning if you're going to be looking at going anywhere. If that's overwhelming and you just don't think you could adjust to that, then might be something you have to reconsider. Number 2, if you're not into the outdoors. This shouldn't be a secret at this point, but Alaska is really not a metropolitan kind of a state. We've got a couple of big cities up here where you can get the conveniences and the entertainment and everything you would get with a larger city, but it's not going to be a New York. It's not going to be an Austin. It's not going to be San Francisco. It's not going to be, pick whatever city it is that you're looking for, and it's probably not going to be quite at that level. This is primarily going to be a state that appeals to people who really do like and embrace the outdoors. So if the outdoors is really not your thing, or you feel like being outside a lot is just not going to be appealing, you might want to take a closer look at your decision to move up here. Number 3, if you're just planning on sitting at home and not actually going out and doing anything, Alaska is definitely not going to be a good place for you. And the reason for that is that I'm going to be very blunt. Regardless the state that you go to, if you just stay at home all the time, it's going to suck. Okay? So if you're going to come up here, you really have to kind of embrace the spirit of the frontier and kind of be willing to go with the flow. Be willing to go try new stuff and be willing to be active. Okay? Go looking for adventures. That's really going to be kind of the spirit of the last frontier, and that's why it's so appealing to the people that are up here. So I've actually have had some military friends that came up here and they were kind of sulky for the first couple months because all they did is they just went and hung out in the barracks and didn't actually go and do anything. So make sure that you get out and you go and do something, because their perspective on the state kind of changed once they started doing that. What about Alaska would you like to know more about? Make sure that you post any questions down below in the comment section so I can answer those. Also, if you're just trying to get a feel for what the state is like, look for my latest video series I'm going to be rolling out in the next couple months called Alaska Road Trip. And in that series, I'm going to give you kind of a walking tour, driving tour of most of the big towns and cities here in Alaska. And that's going to give you a really good sense on kind of the flavor for the area and see if it's going to be a good fit for you. And you can get that up above. That's going to be up there in the corner. Now let's go ahead and jump into the last 2 things where if these are big, just deal killers for you, then you should probably reconsider moving to Alaska. And number 4 is that if you really don't like seasonal change, like you just have to have a really consistent kind of environment like Hawaii, then this probably isn't going to be a good fit for you, because there are definitely big seasonal changes, specifically here in South Central Alaska. We have, you know, long days during the summer where it's just sunlight 24/7, and then during the winter months, it's not going to be like as dark as what it is like if you go further up north, like the Fairbanks or Barrow. But I will say that we definitely do get a whole lot less sunlight during the wintertime than the rest of the continental United States. So there are things you can do to kind of help regardless of the time of year. During the winter months, you know, maybe plan a vacation, go to Hawaii during the winter months. Shoot, that's what I do, or schedule to do. And, you know, take vitamin D pills, make sure that you get a special kind of light that's going to give you, you know, kind of the benefits of being in the sun. And during the wet summer months where it might be bright all the time, make sure you get the blackout blinds, make sure you get some real darkness on where you're trying to sleep, and that's going to go a long way. Now, the number 5 thing where if this is a deal breaker, Alaska might not be a good match for you. If you are not going to allow yourself to adapt to the cold, this is probably not going to be a good place for you. It's no secret, but Alaska can get cold. Not all areas are going to get as cold as you might see in the reality TV shows, but let's all just agree, it can get cold. You know, this past winter, I think it was like -10 for, you know, -10 or colder for the majority of a month during the winter time. So it can get cold. And if you're not willing to allow yourself to kind of adapt to it, because everybody can adapt to the cold. Very few actual medical conditions that would prevent you from adapting to the cold. So it's not a matter of if you can adapt, it's a matter of if you're willing to allow yourself to adapt to the cold. If you're not, Alaska might not be a good fit. With all that being said, everyone up here in Alaska, including myself, is going to struggle with at least a couple of the things that we discussed earlier. The big difference is if you really do kind of latch on to the spirit of the last frontier, where you're willing to go try new things, you're willing to be adventurous, you're willing to kind of go with the flow. Those are going to be the things that are going to kind of carry you through when all these other things might pop up. And, you know, there are definitely strategies you can use to try to minimize each one of these, but it's just a matter of whether or not it's going to be worth it to you in order to make those changes when you're looking to come up here. Thank you for watching. If this has been useful, make sure that you give this video a like, and make sure if you have any questions to post those down below. If you'd like to reach out to me directly, maybe you're trying to decide if Alaska is going to be a good move for you and your family, then make sure that you reach out to me directly through my Facebook page, which is going to be in a link down below in the description.